Well, hello, everyone. We are still here at FirstEnergy Stadium where the Browns have been shut out by the Cincinnati Bengals 30-0 in Johnny Manziel's starting NFL debut. Boy, was it a disaster. It did not go the way anybody expected, not the way Johnny expected, not the way Browns fans expected, certainly not the way Coach Mike Pettin expected. And this was their fourth loss in the last 5 games. Goodbye to winning the division.
Yeah, there was so much excitement around today. And Mary Kay, you've covered this team long enough. It ended like so many games in December often end here with people leaving early in the fourth quarter. Just an absolute tremendously poor performance all around. We're going to get a lot into Manziel, but let's say this right off the bat. This was a poor effort by a lot of players. It wasn't just the quarterback today.
Well, we will start with Johnny Manziel because that's what we talked about all week long was his big debut. He finished with 10 completions on 18 attempts, only 80 yards. 32 of those came on one pass, so you can tell how bad the rest of it all was. And then he was sacked 3 times, 2 interceptions, a 27.3 rating, managed 1 third down conversion out of 10. 5 first downs overall. You can go on and on and on. It was horrible. They were down 20-0 by halftime.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the numbers speak for itself. I mean, Manziel just never could get anything going. Part of it, too, I think, was he couldn't get on the field early in the game, and we'll get to this about the run defense. They couldn't get the ball on the field because Cincinnati possessed it so long, and then a couple quick 3-and-outs, and you could just feel them pressing a little bit, trying to get something going. And Johnny struggled. The offensive line did not block well for him. Mary Kay, there was a couple times where he was still dropping back and getting sacked at the same time. So it was a really difficult performance for him. He had a 3rd interception nullified because of on offsides. He just looked like a rookie in his first game. It just didn't look like Johnny football. He just looked like a typical rookie in his first game.
And Coach Mike Pettin, said, however, though, he will start him against the Panthers next week. We expect him to start the Panthers game and probably the Ravens game. They have to decide now. They're pretty much out of the playoff picture. They might have one little flickering chance of making it as a wild card team. But they will evaluate him in these last 2 games. They have to see what they have. But, one game doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to cut it in this league.
No, absolutely not. And I've been of the opinion all week that he would start because I really think deep down the Browns organizations felt they were out of the playoffs. Let's see what this kid can do over 3 games. What happened today? Again, they were out of the playoffs. Don't put the playoffs on this kid. Let's see what we can do in Carolina next week. Maybe he's more relaxed away from home. There won't be quite as much hype, and let's see if he can build off of what was a really tough day.
You know what? I have to disagree with you on that. I think they viewed this as a very, very big game. They had an opportunity to win out, not necessarily control their own destiny, but if they had won out, they could have, possibly still made the playoffs. So I really believe that they put Johnny in there not to see what the rookie could do, but to see if they could generate some offense and win a football game because they weren't getting it done with Brian Hoyer. But now it's all about, hey, let's see what we have in the young man. And I'll tell you what, the Bengals were sick and tired of hearing about. I just talked to some of them in the locker room. They were tired about hearing about Manziel. They could not wait to sack him and make the money sign.
Yeah, and we're going to hear that the next 2 weeks as well. Johnny Manziel obviously comes with a target, and he gets a lot of publicity, and guys like to rub it in his face. We saw the Bengals take a taunting penalty that extended a drive today because of one of the defensive linemen it was Ray Malaluga, the running or linebackers, doing the money sign right in his face. So. And they did. They did a terrific job. The Bengals were just all over the Browns offensively.
And, of course, you have to mention Jeremy Hill and his 148 yards. Now, he put it out there, and he said after the last game that the Browns were worse than he thought they were going to be. I asked one of the defensive guys about that, and he said he backed himself up. We had his back, but he backed himself up on that, and he certainly did that. They had no match for him. But I will tell you what, the Browns were also without Joe Hayden. They lost him in the second quarter. Then they lost Justin Gilbert, who was filling in from a playing time standpoint, with K'Wan Williams being already out of this game and inactive with a hamstring. So they were down to smoke and mirrors in the defensive secondary, and that was a tough way to go.
Yeah, of course, they really didn't. The passing game, Andy Dalton was as bad as you could possibly be in a 30-0 win. He overthrew open guys. So that really wasn't much of a factor. It was just that they could not do anything to stop the run. And the game was the first quarter. I mean, I believe that they possessed the ball for like 10 or 11 minutes. And I think the plays were like 23-6. And it really put the Browns behind the 8 ball. And it really, I think, made Johnny Manziel and the offense press a little bit.
Meanwhile, of course, the Browns could not get anything going in their own running game. They rushed for a total of only 53 yards after really taking it to the Bengals in that first game in Cincinnati when they clobbered them. But the Bengals had, of course, everything to play for as well in this game. They're in first place still in the division by a half a game over the Ravens and the Steelers. And, it looks like, they are in good shape here to try to win this thing. But, boy, the Browns could not get anything done. And here's one thing that Mike Pettin said. He was surprised and shocked that in a game of this magnitude that his team did not bring that energy, that it factor. It showed out there, and it showed in Johnny Manziel's debut, one that we will never forget. So stay with us all week as we lead up to the Panthers game here on cleveland.com.